nighttime party, brunch, that sort of thing, which we haven't been able to do since the pandemic, and that's why we're in such a predicament. Those events in the night, the zoo is closed. We can rent out certain areas. We used to generate maybe over 2.5 million dollars for the month. When you add up the corporate events, the parties in the nights, the brunches, the baby showers, the weddings, and that used to offset a lot of payment for the staff and just the maintenance of the zoo. So it's been a struggle since the pandemic because, as you know, we're not allowed to have any of those. In terms of other advertising, we give to children of the states. So, for instance, tomorrow we have a girls' home that's coming free of charge. So once it's a children's hospital, any state care facility, we tend to invite them free of charge to come and enjoy the zoo for the day because that's really what it's about. On average, before pandemic, with the schools coming in, which was a bulk of, we used to have something happening every day because we have a booking from a school every day. And we're talking a school with 20, a class of 20 to a whole grade of maybe 80 students. And this would be on a daily basis. Now, of course, since the pandemic, we've not had any schools because schools are out. And separate and apart from that, you used to have people that would like to take chances. They come every weekend, they come on Saturday, they come on Sunday. Now we probably have maybe 40% of that on the weekend. Of course, Sundays was a short day. We just can't open until 5. So you may have maybe 20 person on a Sunday morning between 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock before curfew. And probably half the number on a Saturday that we usually do.
The total animals at the zoo is just over 1,100 different animals. We have, I think, nearly 400 birds. We have about 350 Jamaican iguanas that are part of our conservation program to help pretty much save that species. And then, various large mammals. We have lions, camels, zebra, donkeys, goats, and then tons of crocodiles and lots of snakes, lots of native species too, and that's something we're really proud of.
Have the diets of animals been able to be maintained since the COVID-19?
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's number one. Is animal health, animal care. That's one thing. We're never gonna let. It's our number one priority, and so. We've been able to, get some donations. Like I said, PriceSmart was super helpful, and then even get some money donations. But no matter, that's like, we've had to make some even cutbacks in some of our staff to make sure, we still had, not like permanent cutbacks, like days wise, to make sure we still, animals are never gonna suffer at all,
Is there any deterioration of facilities and infrastructure?
Yeah, definitely. We have various exhibits, and if you were to see some of our roofing, and we have what's called the thatch, the palm thatch they cover. There's so many roofs and stuff that need replaced that there's no way we can afford that right now. It's like that. Obviously, all our money is going to obviously staff salary and animal care, and so we have so much stuff like our snake house. Every time it rains, the exhibits are inside, but every time it rains, it rains through the roof and inside these snake enclosures. A lot of our bird exhibits, we have these big dome enclosures that have this roof thatch. The thatch totally rotten off and getting blown off and stuff. And that's all stuff that just really needs to be fixed, but it's kind of, it should be fixed, but obviously we're putting our money where it's more important right now.
Aside from funding difficulties, do you think Jamaicans are as interested in coming to the zoo as in previous years?
I think they are more interested in coming to the zoo. I think in the past, a lot of persons saw the zoo as maybe a circus because that's what they used to see on TV. And they just never knew all the conservation that the zoo is doing. I think now, because of the age of social media, and we're able to, update in real time all the conservation, all the animals we've saved, all the rescue that we're doing, people are more understanding now of really and truly the importance of the zoo, as
Yes.
opposed to just having animals locked up. All our animals here, they're either donated or they were injured and you can't let them out in the wild anymore. So instead of putting them down, we use them as an education tool.
So considering that we just had Tropical Storm Elsa
Yeah.
pass through, how was that like for the zoo?
We have our own like hurricane plan in place, and so Friday the storm came Sunday, and we were planning for the worst, even though it turned out to be not super bad, like wind-wise, but we planned for the worst, and so Friday, Saturday we started prepping. We have various buildings and kind of infrastructures around the zoo that are hurricane-proof, and so that I have a whole mapped out kind of list of these animals need to be moved into these spots. And so Friday, Saturday, we were gathering up, moving goats here, catching up snake, catching up iguanas, and moving them in these buildings. We have temporary little cages where, the animals, we pull them off their exhibit, and say it's a bird that normally has this big space. Well, we have these little hurricane cages that we can put them in for 24 hours, and then go put them up in a hurricane-proof building. And so it was hectic. I remember Saturday, it was like 6 a.m. to almost like 9, 10 p.m. I was up all night making sure all the animals ready, and then we stock up on food because there's when that rain hits during a hurricane and the wind, it's hard to do anything outside. So we just stock up all the animals on hay and food, so they're good to go, and it's nothing we really need to worry about.
I know we had to lay off maybe about 40% of our staff. Probably about 6 months after the pandemic hit. We tried to hold on to as much as we could, but about 40% of the casuals we had to let go. I would say the zookeeping department is now only down to about 10 or 12. So we've had to be innovative to work around the small amount of people that we're holding on to dearly to make this thing work.
Several of my staff in the animal care department, or zookeepers, actually live very close by, so they can actually walk to work, and so we kind of have them on kind of hurricane duty, and they know these keepers are very passionate about these animals. A lot of these guys have worked here for anywhere from 4 to 8 years, and so it's kind of like these animals are our kids. They become very attached to them. So even though this job is like say 9 to 5, when it comes these times, they're here till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes they're staying at my house, because I'm right there, and so they're dedicated to once the storm's passed and the animals are okay, then they can go home. It's never been an issue where we've not been able to attend to a sick animal or anything. The biggest say issue is like a lion, for instance. If our lion gets sick, it's a big ordeal. And so obviously we also work very closely with the JSPCA. They have an amazing vet staff there. And so, for instance, I think it was like 6 months ago, our lion got a scratch on his head, which he probably did himself, maybe scratching his hair or something, but then he created a cut. And then here in Jamaica, I don't know if you've heard, we have screwworm, which is like this larva laid by a fly. And so if that gets in a wound, it's terrible. And so luckily our keepers were going, our lion is named Lucas. They were going to check on Lucas at the end of the day, and the keeper noticed this hole in his head, and he called me immediately. We came, and we're like, he had screwworm, the flies get in there immediately. And so that was like, okay, we have to jump on this right away. And so dealing with a lion is a bit different than going to pull a parrot out of a cage, and treat it, So it was neat. I was able to call our friends at JSPCA, and they sent up a vet team right away, and we had to sedate them, and it was like this awesome collaborative effort we sedated them for 30 minutes, we got in there, we cleaned the wound, got them better, got them on antibiotics, and then got them back up. And so, but we've never been able to not attend to an animal. It's just sometimes more difficult with the more dangerous ones.
Pepsi has been great to us.
Okay.
Pepsi is the national sponsor for the zoo, and I think PriceSmart's been good with food donation.
Okay.
And every now and again, you may have 1 or 2 companies that may call and do product donation.
Okay.
We used to get funding from the government. They've been helping us out a lot throughout the years, but I guess they've just been dried up. Unfortunately, we haven't received funding from them, and this is why we want to reach out to everyone, no matter how small you think it is. If you come to the zoo need pay at the entrance, that money helps us out. You know, if you're a corporate company and you want to host a staff event and you choose our grounds, that helps us as well. So, in any way, shape, and form, we're asking you because, you know, the government, they have been good to us, but yeah.
Most animals in captivity live longer than they do in the wild. So if you look at any life expectancy, so if you look at lions maybe in the wild live 10 to 15 years. In captivity, they can easily live 20 to 25 years, and that's because they're getting vet care. Like they get sick, they get a wound, we're there to treat it. Where in the wild, if that happens, it's done. You know, it's survival of the fittest. So, like they'll get picked off by another animal, or that infection grows, and then they get sick and die. And so, whether it's birds, reptiles, mammals, they often live longer in captivity than they do in the wild.
So with over 50 years of operation,
With
right?
over 50 years of
How do
operation,
you and the workers here feel about the impending closure of the zoo?
I grew up, you know, wanting to come to the zoo and being part of the zoo, and the joy that we see on even the summer camp that we're running. The kids are so excited every morning to just be with the animal, to be able to touch them, you know, to be able to say, okay, I've seen a camel in real life. It's we're going to miss all of that, you know, and I think we've come a long way in educating Jamaicans on the importance of and animal conservation, and it would be a shame for us to lose all of that, you know, since we've worked hard to finally get people to start to understand the importance of the zoo as a conservation more than anything else. Wildlife conservation for Jamaica and Jamaicans, and just, you know, a place for kids, you know, family, the elderly to come and escape and unwind and get away for the day. It's we can't afford to lose that. It means too much to Jamaica for us to lose that now.